Welcome to the Robby Row Show. My name is Robby Rowland. I am your host. You are listening to episode 63 with Chris Viall. Let's hear a soundbite from Chris.
Reversing the idea that talking to somebody makes you weak. In my mind, if you have a problem and you talk to somebody and that makes you better, that makes you way stronger of a person, because that means that you identified that you had something that you wanted to make better. You identified that, you found a solution, and now you're in a better spot.
May I have your attention, please?
Give me a heater.
Now listening to Clear the Mechanism.
The Robby Row Show.
The Robby Row Show.
What's going on? How we doing? What's going on? What's good? What's Gucci? I never say that. I don't know why I just said that to start the show. That's embarrassing. Okay, I don't edit my shows anymore, so we're live. Hey guys, it's Robby. I'm your host this evening and most of the evenings. Anyways, so besides the point, guys, welcome to episode 63. Thank you guys for tuning in. Chris Viall on the show. For those of you who don't know Chris is a current minor league baseball player in the New York Mets organization. Chris and I got into contact via Instagram. We were looking at ways that we could collaborate, spread the good word about a lot of different things that him and I are both passionate about. And I told him, I was like, man, you got to come on the show. So definitely pumped to bring you guys this episode. I do encourage you to stay with us. I know podcasts, you can pause it and come back to it later. But this one is going to be about an hour. So I didn't want to split it up into like 2 or 3 parts. I thought the flow of the episode was just really good. We, a lot of things just flowed naturally and we segued naturally. And I just didn't want to split that up. I'm not saying the ones that I do split up are not flowing naturally. I just didn't want to necessarily split this one up because I do think, a lot of the episodes that I've done in the past week or two have been split up. So this one I just wanted to keep one whole episode. Yes, it's a long one. Yes, there's really good nuggets of information for you guys. Definitely encourage you, if you're an aspiring pitcher, if you want to be in a position like Chris is in, current professional baseball pitcher, get a notepad out and just write some little things that he says down. They're very insightful. We'll dive into his background, his high school. I mean, guy's a stud in high school, got drafted out of high school, didn't sign, went to Stanford, spent 3 years at Stanford, got drafted by the Mets. All of this stuff will be included in the episode just to give you kind of the, just a brief synopsis, if you will. But then we just dive into so many just really good topics, whether it be just having a lot of input in your life or in your career, having a lot of people trying to be hands-on and tell you what to do and blah, 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 and you losing yourself throughout that process. I know I'm very passionate about that too because that's my experience when I was younger. We look into him dealing with injuries. He has some really good insight for kids that have those little nagging injuries over and over again. So definitely, again, this whole episode is just really good. And then, guys, we end this episode on something that he and I are both very passionate about, and that's mental health. That's what you heard in the soundbite. So that's towards the end of the show. Be sure you guys tune into the whole thing. I mean, if you don't have time, come back to it later. It's just really good through and through. I appreciate Chris coming on. Definitely just an overall good dude, not just a good pitcher, but he stands for the right things. He's passionate about the right things, and he really does want to help you guys. So if you don't know Chris, you're not following him on Instagram, do that now at CM Viall, CMVIALL. Definitely a must follow if you ask me. Take this time to thank a sponsor of the episode, Pocket Radar. I talk about Pocket Radar a lot on this show. Big fan, affordable piece of technology that holds you accountable for specific metrics that are highly used in the game of baseball today. Pocket Radar, check that out. I will link the website to Pocket Radar in the show notes, or if you want to just go to pocketradar.com, I can save you 10%. Discount code Robby10, ROBBY10, save you 10%. I think it's about $40 off their newest model, which has app capability. You can take video, and the Pocket Radar speed will show up on the video, and you can send that right to scouts. You can include that in the Flat Ground app thing on Twitter. That's getting a ton of publicity. So to me, if you ask me, Pocket Radar is definitely a must-have tool, and your boy Rob can save you 10%. Robby10 at checkout, pocketradar.com. If you want to link, if you want to just click the link, it'll be in the show notes. Next thing that'll be in the show notes will be a link to Tim Tebow's Shaken book that Chris and I talk about just a little bit. Just wanted to give you guys that brief news. I don't know. Anyways, let's get to this dang episode, shall we? It's a really good one. Thank you again for Chris for coming on the show. It was his first ever podcast, and it's a funny introduction because the first time we hit record, I'm in a blizzard right now, so the power went out. First time we hit record, and we recorded for like 2 minutes, and then we got back on, and then it was fine. So I'm going to include that. Might as well, right? It's the build-up. It's the anticipation. Anyways, guys, much love to each and every one of you guys for tuning in to the Robby Row Show, episode 63. Hope you guys enjoy. All right. You know what's funny? So we're live, by the way, and right when I clicked record, Chris, I didn't. I totally forgot how. So is it Chris Viall? Chris Viall? Like, how do you pronounce your last name before I butcher it?
It's just vile, like something gross, I guess.
So it's funny too because I saw you went live with my boy Ferbs. Great dude, by the way. Got to throw him a shout out early on in the show, and he was he's all about the nicknames, right? But so he was saying Viall, and then like I couldn't tell if he was saying it because like that's actually how you pronounce your last name, or if he was just like that's because how you spell it. But anyways, Chris Viall, welcome to the show, man. How are you doing today?
I'm doing amazing. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, man. For those listening, this is Chris' first podcast, so I'll make sure to go easy on you, man. Only easy questions. I won't put you on the hot seat.
All right, that sounds good to me.
So I did my homework, man. I did a little bit of digging.
All right.
I'm happy to see you're a fellow Californian, I guess you could call it. So, dude, I'm like, this is the part that I love about podcasting, dude, is just getting to know your story, man, your background. I kind of want to start with you. Not so much from like the very beginning, dude, but like maybe towards that high school age, because I mean, even in high school, like, I mean, I looked up your numbers, dude. Like I kind of want to say them, and I feel bad if I'm embarrassing you by any means, but
you're all good.
Your high school career, dude, what I got, and correct me if I'm wrong, was throughout the whole career, 1.79 ERA, 152 innings, and 200 K burgers, dude. What? In high school? So you got drafted out of high school, right? 2013?
Yeah, I got drafted out of high school.
Oh, man. Okay, we're back live. So for the audience, I actually do want to say this is completely my fault. Your boy's grinding on either tough Wi-Fi, bad power outages, blizzards, and all that crap. So, Chris, let's kind of go back to where we were talking about your high school journey. Obviously, being a highly touted high school guy, but committed to Stanford. I know a lot of Stanford guys are pretty dead set on going to school. So, was that your story as well?
Yeah, I mean, coming into my senior year around the draft time, I was talking to a decent amount of scouts, but the numbers that I was thinking about and my family was thinking about, it just didn't really line up. It wasn't really a realistic expectation that I was going to go in the draft.
Yeah, and dude, like, that's a stressful time, man, because, like, I mean, I don't know how much you know about, like, my background, but, like, I was, I was a high school kid, and, you know, I was kind of dead set on signing out of high school. I had committed to University of Oregon, quack, and, and, you know, that was kind of something that I wanted to do as far as just being a baseball player each and every day, but for you, was it a little bit different as far as, like, you know, your baseball and your schooling? Like, was school, obviously at Stanford, it's probably, you know, an easy question, but was that something that you really did want to hammer home right after high school, was get your education?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, for me, school was a big part of it. I've always been like I guess, decently dedicated student. And then, like my dad went to grad school. My mom works in the school and she graduated as well. So they were both very pro college. And then just due to where I was committed, where I was going to go if I didn't sign, like my dad actually planted a redwood tree in our like backyard right when I was born. And I'm not entirely sure if it was Stanford related, but I'm like 96% sure it was Stanford related.
Oh,
so
that's awesome.
If it's been predetermined for that long, I'm pretty sure I had to
go. Oh man, dude, that's hilarious. So when did you commit to Stanford? What grade?
I committed the summer going into my senior year. I committed a little bit late, I guess.
Okay. So, but you're a Santa Cruz guy, right?
Yeah.
So that's like a hop, skip, and a jump for you, right?
Yeah, I mean, it was like an hour away-ish. I commuted for one day when I went back to school for like my final quarter, because I got drafted and I came back for a quarter and graduated early. But I came back for one quarter and I had the great idea. I was like, I can just commute. And I commuted for a day and then I got Airbnbs for like 2 months.
Especially in
because
California.
It wasn't going to happen because it was like an hour away, but there's a really treacherous highway that I have to go through, and there's a ton of traffic and all that.
Treacherous, dude. That's your first big word of the podcast. Okay, there we go. I'll start writing these down.
Highway 17. It's not
brutal, right? Oh man. So did you have like any interest in any other schools throughout your high school career, or was it kind of one of those things where you were dead set on Stanford and then once they kind of offered, it was go time?
Well, I mean, I think there were other schools that I would think about. I mean, like UCLA was one that I really enjoyed, like looking into. I really liked, like their campus and being in Southern California. I like Southern California a lot.
Right.
And then like Cal Poly and UCSB, I actually got offers from both of those schools. I really like their coaching staff. I really like where they're located, especially UCSB. Santa Barbara's beautiful.
Oh, dude, and you guys got, or they got, so the biggest reason that I committed to Oregon was Coach Checketts, and then
he recruited me to UCSB.
Yeah, dude, he's the man. I mean, he recruited me at Oregon, and then like I didn't sign, and obviously, that kind of is the way it is, and and then like looking back at it, dude, was like he left. It would have been right after my freshman year to Santa Barbara. And I was like, I guess it happens for a reason, but he got the head coaching job there, right?
I believe so. Yeah.
Yeah.
He was, he was like my point of contact at SB, and he was a really good guy. I really liked him.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, you had some freaking good options. Like that's some pretty dang good schools, man. So like, take us into the college career, man. You get to Stanford, obviously being a high school, like I'm going to use the word freaking phenom, dude, because your numbers are ridiculous. And so you get to Stanford, like had they pre-arranged like a role for you, or was it kind of like, hey, we're Stanford, you got to earn your spot? And
it was kind of like going in my freshman year, they were kind of decently open pitching wise. I mean, in the fall I did fairly well, and then opening weekend I was a Sunday starter, and then we had two other freshmen starting Friday and Saturday. So there were a decent amount of opportunities at that time. And then I did fairly well in the beginning of the season, and then I kind of got hurt and had like a little back injury, something. I don't really know what actually happened.
It actually got ruled as that back injury something.
Yeah, it was a really confusing disabled list quotation. But it was just one of those things, like as a pitcher, where you're just like, this isn't right, but I don't know what's wrong.
That's the most frustrating thing, dude.
Yeah, so I just kind of kept pitching, and I just didn't like produce as well. My velocity was down. My control was subpar at best. So I kind of got relegated to the bullpen after that. My freshman year, and then I went out to summer ball, and I had my first outing back, and same thing happened. So It was the quickest trip to the quickest moving to and moving back from North Carolina I think anybody has ever done.
Oh,
in the history of the world. It was for like 3 days. I basically flew there, experienced hurricane, I think it was Sandy, and then flew directly home, which is not what you normally do. You usually go away from the hurricanes.
Well, at least you got a flight.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, so that was freshman year.
And then,
it was great. I mean,
are you still hurt at that point? Like, I mean, obviously your season kind of ends, but it's not like a serious injury.
I flew back home. It wasn't super serious. I just kind of took some time off. I got like an off-season job, or I guess it wasn't off-season, but like summer job. It wasn't an internship. I was doing like maintenance work because, or wait, was that year? I think that was that year.
This is 2014, right?
Yeah, because you can only like do nothing for so long before you start going insane.
Oh gosh. Seriously.
And that brings us into sophomore year, I guess.
Yeah. So, I mean, are you healthy like going into the season?
Sophomore year, yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was good. I started out as relief. I believe I might have had a couple starts, maybe 1 or 2. But I didn't do super well my sophomore year. It was kind of like a little slumping period. But it was all right. I mean, I think I'm really glad that I went through those experiences, you know, kind of with baseball. It's sometimes you're not going to be absolutely dominant. And I feel like those moments are your biggest learning moments.
Oh,
you know, totally. Like when you are tested and you have to kind of realize what's going on and then take steps to better that situation rather than being just like throwing your papers up and being like, I can't do this.
And it's interesting too, man, because like this is something I talk about a lot on like Instagram or whatever it is. It like the dealing with failure or the dealing with like not living up to expectations, because like, again, going back to your high school stats, man, like you're a guy that probably your whole upbringing like just succeeded and did well and overachieved, and then you get to a Division I like Pac-12 type atmosphere, and obviously the talent is better and you get thrown into that. And a lot of that is a learning curve of like, yeah, I'm not going to go out and punchy the world and not give up hits. Like, talk about that experience, man, for you, just really like getting that first taste of things not going your way, and how do you kind of deal with it moving forward?
Yeah, I mean, like definitely going into my freshman year, I thought I was like really, really good at baseball. And I still think I'm like decently good at baseball. Like I play professional baseball, but I thought I was like, I'm going to go out, like you said, go out, strike everyone out, and like be this like Greek god of baseball. That's just not going to happen for anyone ever. Like everyone has their struggles. Chris Sale throws not great sliders and people hit home runs off of Chris Sale, you know, it just happens. So I think for me, my freshman year, I was getting frustrated because that was the first time that I had really struggled. Like I had struggled hitting before because I was like 6'9" as a sophomore in high school.
Oh my gosh, dude.
But I had never really struggled like pitching wise. So it was kind of annoying and grating because I didn't like, I knew that failure was a thing. I had experienced it in hitting, but I had never experienced it in something that I was up until that point. So like, I guess like relative to the competition, like dominant at.
Yeah, that's your thing too. It's like, you know, you can kind of classify your hitting experience as like, it's fine because I'm not a hitter, right? You're not fully invested in it. But as soon as it happens to the one thing that you're truly invested in, you spend all of this time improving in, and it doesn't go your way, that's a huge hit, dude. It's like my comparison, my analogy to that would be like fully invest in a type of like girl, and you're fully in love with this girl, and she's like, and you spend all this time and money on this girl, and she comes around and just dumps you a day. You know, it's really like that type of feeling. I mean, it was for me.
Yeah. I mean, I think like in my freshman year, it was really hard for me to kind of like look back at myself and be like, you're setting too high of expectations for yourself. Not in a way that like you shouldn't like push yourself always to be the best that you can be. You always want to achieve to the best of your ability, but in the sense that like me starting a game and then being angry that I like let up a squib like single in the second inning, like that's not realistic. Like those things happen. I'm not actually going to go out and strike everyone out.
Yeah.
Like that's not a realistic expectation. And then if I get mad at myself for everything, then that's, if anything, going to be a negative. Like that's going to detract from my game and make me even, it's like a snowball effect.
Yeah, totally. It's funny that you mentioned that because I made a post about Scherzer today. He did like an interview with MLB Network like a few years ago, and they were talking about that, how like you look at Scherzer and obviously he's like a super intense dude, but they asked him like, what's one thing you've changed or what's one thing you've evolved with? And he said like the way he responds to certain like, you know, if he misses his spot or if he gives up a homer, like he was always so quick to just yell at himself and cuss himself out and dwell on those negatives. And now he's just kind of like you said, dude, like those things are going to happen. But you can control your response and you can control how you kind of bounce back from that. Because there's always that fine line, dude, right? There's that super fine line of you talk about these expectations you set for yourself because we're pitchers, like we're perfectionists, dude. Like we're gonna have these expectations of going out every single day and throwing perfect games. But in the back of our head, like knowing that's not gonna happen. So it's interesting because I always say like me being a perfectionist is my biggest quality and my biggest downfall too. Because like you can really dive in head first either way, and it could be either, you know, very positive or very like detrimental to your career. But going back to like your season, so do you go play summer ball that sophomore year, 2015?
After sophomore year, I went to the Cape and I went and played for YD, the Red Sox.
What was that like, dude? You're going to the Cape, like that's the spot. Like, what is your mindset there?
Honestly, so I had a good first couple outings, and then they were saving me as a closer. And I went like 9 days without pitching or something. And then I came in and I got absolutely shelled in Katuitt, which isn't what you want to happen. But then after that, I was pitching less. So I wasn't getting as much time on the field, which is frustrating. But I mean, it's the Cape. I guess they have decently good talent. Baseball wise, that wasn't the most productive summer for me, but just an amazing experience. Great baseball. It was a wood bat league too, and that's great for preparing for pro ball, obviously.
How similar is it to the movie Summer Catch?
I don't think I've seen the movie Summer Catch.
Oh my gosh, get off my podcast. What, dude? You never seen Summer Catch? Freddie Prinze Jr., Jessica Biel? I'm
so bad at watching. I can't watch sports movies, dude. I don't know why. I can't do it.
Because it's so
I'm bad at watching like movies and TV shows in general. But I don't know. I can't watch.
You're telling me that you're a professional baseball player that struggles watching movies and TV shows? That's what you just said?
I get bored.
Oh my gosh. What do you do in your free time?
I read stuff.
Oh,
sometimes.
I thought you were going to say, like, I code. I make apps in my free time.
I've attempted to code. I've found that I suck at it, like, really bad.
Dude, my boy, did you ever play with Danny DeKroger?
Yeah, dude, he's extreme.
That's my guy.
So smart.
Yeah,
he is so smart.
So he codes, and like just every time we talk about it, it seems like it's the easiest thing on earth. But that's just Danny.
Yeah. Last time I saw Danny, he was talking to me about creating a crypto mining.
Oh yeah.
Creating crypto mining hardware for Monero, which is like a niche cryptocurrency.
Oh yeah. And he probably did it, and he's probably a millionaire somewhere. I don't know where.
Yeah. Yeah.
All right, so we're gonna get back on track. I apologize for the listeners because I bounce around like that. Deal with it. So you go now. You're going into your junior season. For those of you who don't know, junior season is like when you're draft eligible again. So this is a big season for you. Where where are you at mentally, physically, all that good stuff?
So physically, I'm all good, finally. And then mentally, I honestly, going into my junior season, I just kind of took the approach of like, I'm going to do what I know. I'm going to do what I know I need to do. And I'm going to kind of like tune everything else out. And that's generally a pretty good way to go about baseball, at least the way that I look at it. Because when I hear input, I have a tendency to try and use that input almost too much at times. So for me, putting blinders on and telling myself, I know what I need to do, I'm just going to go out and do it, is a lot more productive, usually, than taking in all of this information and trying to change stuff every which way.
Totally.
You know what I mean?
Totally, dude. It's like wired in us, too, to be like, we want to please everybody.
Yeah, and it could be the best advice. Like, it could be the best advice from the best pitching coach, but if I'm changing stuff all the time, then I'm not going to be consistent. I'm not going to have that same like arm path on every pitch, and I'm not going to have the results that I need.
Totally, dude. So is that what's happening at this point in your career? Is like you're getting a ton of input because obviously 6'9" guy throwing 100, like everyone wants to be, hey, this is what you need to do. Hey, this is how, blah, blah, blah. And I'm sure I can't even imagine for you what kind of input you're getting. But was that what it was like up to this point in your career? Was that everyone was just trying to help and you were trying to please everyone? Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. And not really losing sight basically on what made you good in the first place?
Well, I mean, at Stanford, I got a decent amount of input, but to be fair, at that point, I was getting hurt like a lot, and not like bad, but I would just like consistently get like ticky-tacky small injuries. So the input was very valid. Like I needed to change something, but I think that I was changing too much and at too high of a frequency. I think the difference now is that, at least in the Mets organization, in my experience, they've been fairly good at offering advice, but always reiterating that, like, even if it's a pitching coach who's 75 years old and he spent his entire life in baseball, they always reiterate that it's only like what they see and their thoughts on your specific situation. It's not like, here's my advice, go do it. It's the golden rule. Yeah. And I really like that. I think that's a great approach.
Absolutely. Because like, I mean, I've been in 4 organizations, so I've gotten a taste of a lot of different approaches in that aspect. And, and there are certain guys out there. And again, like it's no disrespect to those types of individuals, but because at the end of the day, they all want to help, right? They all want to see you be the best version of yourself. But it's about individualism and determining for yourself, like what you can take in and what you can produce. And it's all about like efficiency too. But there's certain guys that are like, hey, do this, you're not doing it. Do this, you're not doing it. And I mean, you know how it is, man. As a pitcher, like we get stuck in that quicksand, and the harder we try, the deeper and deeper we sink. And
then you're not even thinking about competing, you're not thinking about executing your pitch. You're thinking, oh, I got to make sure that my heel's like here when I drive down the mound.
Totally, dude.
And that's completely like, that is the exact opposite of what you want to be thinking when you're facing a batter.
Oh, dude, because they all say, hey, once you get on the mound and the lights are on and there's a hitter at the dish, like just focus on competing, right? Everyone says that. But dude, better than anyone that ish is freaking hard. Like it's so hard to spend, say you're on a 7-day rotation in college or whatever. It's so hard to spend 6 days of that week focusing on specific like mechanical things, every single throw that you make. And then that one day out of the week to go out there and just go, oh, I'm going to compete. It takes a special breed to do that.
Yeah, it really does.
All right, man. So let's jump in. I want to talk about the draft experience of 6th round. That's obviously a pretty decent high pick, man. junior season. So you had one, dog. So you had 1 year left. Was there any thought in which that you were going to go back to school, or was it, hey, you got drafted, like, let's get this thing going?
There wasn't really any thought that I was going to go back to school. I had already talked to, like, my coaches at Stanford, and they were all assuming that I was going to leave. But I'm sure that they would have had scholarship money available for me if I had wanted to come back. But also, like, the pick at which I was taken, I wasn't going to turn down the money, and two, I just like the Meth organization. I think that their thesis on how they go about pitching is awesome. Mm-hmm. And then also, like, I was pretty far ahead on my degree. The way that they do it at Stanford is they stack classes for pretty much the entire baseball team, because they assume that a decent amount of those guys are going to go after their junior year. Okay. So I only had a quarter left. If I had gone back to school, I would have just taken classes in the fall and then hung out for like a really long time. And that didn't really seem very productive.
Dude, do you mind diving into that real quick? Because I don't know if I've ever discussed that on my show about like, what is it like balancing, obviously, like a rigorous schooling schedule and high level baseball at the same time?
Yeah, I mean, it was pretty tough, at least my freshman year. Freshman fall wasn't that bad. I think I took like 18 units or something, and our max load was 20. And that was just ball practices, like scrimmages, that kind of stuff. We never left Stanford campus for any of that stuff. There was no kind of travel. And I was able to get everything done fairly easily. I guess fairly easily, not super easily.
I don't know if easy should be thrown in there at all, Stanford.
And then my winter quarter came along. That was after winter break. And that was the first quarter where I started traveling with the team. And that was not a fun quarter.
Why?
Because I had signed up for a lot of classes. I signed up for 20 units, I believe, which is the maximum allotted. Like, that's a max amount of units that you could take at a time. And they were also pretty hard classes. And I was also a weekend starter. So between practices and flying, like, we flew to, like, I believe Texas, and I missed like 2 lectures and a computer science course, and I was way behind.
Yikes.
So between classes and flying, hotels, homework, midterms, papers, etc., I was just completely overwhelmed. So I ended up having to drop a class, computer science, which was not my forte, obviously.
That's why I dropped it.
Yeah, exactly. Maybe should have got Danny DeKroger to help me on that one.
He would have done it in like a heartbeat.
Yeah, it would have been annoyingly fast. It was just, that quarter was a real struggle because I definitely underestimated the difficulty level of the courses, the amount of time I would have to put in, and then how disruptive travel is for a college baseball player, especially one where we're going across the country, flying to like Texas, Oregon. Mm-hmm. I think, no, freshman year we didn't go to Vanderbilt. Wait, maybe we did. I don't remember. But flying everywhere isn't exactly the best thing when you're trying to work on school.
Oh gosh, yeah, I can imagine. That's interesting too, because that's not talked about all that much, right? We talk about like minor league travel and it being a grind and all that. It's not talked about too much about the college travel. Obviously, it's a little bit more glamorous. I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, but you guys fly like pretty decent airlines and.
Yeah, I mean, we got really lucky that we were able to fly. I mean, we definitely had a larger radius of schools that we would play, so in some ways the travel could be a little bit rougher and that we had to go farther, but we did fly for a large amount of those trips. Definitely travel in the minor leagues is a lot worse, though. At least at Stanford, you would not find a 13-hour bus ride
Great
right
segue. Great segue, man. Because I want to dive in because you're a Sally League guy, right? 2018, you were in the Sally League.
Oh yeah,
dude, that's the league of the Waffle House.
Oh yeah,
AKA my favorite league of all time. Just kidding. So that travel is brutal, right? Did they change? Where were you at, Mets?
Columbia, South Carolina. We were in Savannah.
Yeah, Savannah Sand Gnats.
Yep.
Dang,
no
dude. I feel old. This isn't cool. All right, so we're diving in, dude. So you get drafted 6th round. You're a guy. You're going into New York Mets organization, new faces, all that stuff. And they send you to short season. True.
Yep.
So
Kingsport.
So you go to short season, and they tell you what, reliever or starter?
Starter, but they were kind of limiting our innings a little bit, and I got shut down for the month before the draft
at Stanford.
So yeah.
Why?
I had like an elbow injury thing, so they shut me down for a month.
And did that affect your draft status?
Probably.
What is the highest draft? What is the highest you heard about the draft, like round wise?
That was another one of those things where I just kind of tried to put blinders on. My agent was really good.
We can talk about blinders all we want, but it comes in.
I asked, and my agent told me not to. He was really good at wrangling me when I got it too far into my own head. So.
Well, have you asked him since you got drafted and signed and on your way?
Honestly, no, I don't think so.
Oh gosh.
Now that it's one of those things where since it didn't happen differently, I don't want to know how it could have happened.
Yeah, that's probably true. Yeah, 100%, dude. Because I have an interesting story. Sorry to interrupt, but like this sucks. I want to share this because I've never shared it on my show. But me in high school, like I was, not to brag or I'm not trying to whatever, I'm not trying to be cocky.
Go for it.
But it is what it is. Like I was a guy, highly touted. It's funny, dude, because the other guy in NorCal at the time, AJ Venegas, Stanford guy, I don't know if you heard of him, but he was like, hey, I'm going to Stanford, don't even scout me, whatever. So like all of that kind of went to me and got all this attention and blah blah blah. Long story short, my last high school outing, I absolutely pooped my pants, dude. Like, it kind of was all getting to me at that time, you know the process, dude. It's overwhelming at time, and you're 18, 17 years old. And so I pooped the sheets, dude, and ended up going, like, I was still 3rd round, 88th overall was decent draft pick. As soon as I signed, I asked my agent, like, hey, say I don't, say I don't even throw that last game, or say I do subpar, like, what do you got? And then 1st round. And then, you're right, because you hear that, and you're like, mother fricker.
Yeah.
You're right, dude. I give you praise for being that mature and kind of sticking to the process of things.
And I mean, I also, another way that I think about it is like, did that injury hinder my draft stock? Probably. Yeah. But could something else way worse have happened? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
So I'm somewhere in the middle. I think I'm at a pretty good middle right now,
totally, dude. But that's that mindset, man. And I'm glad you brought that up, because it's that big picture mindset of we live in this privileged society where we think we're owed stuff all the time. And when things don't happen right for us, we always are quick to point fingers and name names and whatever, this and that. And then at the end of the day, you have guys that literally are in college and they're guys, they're going to go and make millions of dollars in a specific career or whatever it is. And then a car accident happens or an injury and they can never play again. And then once you get you put yourself in that situation, it's like, gosh, I got to be grateful a little bit more.
Yeah. I mean, the outlook that I try to use is kind of I know what I want to do. I'm going to advocate for myself and I'm going to work like hell. But if it doesn't work out and I put my best forward, then it didn't work out. And that's hard to look at every situation in that way, because sometimes you're like, but I really want this thing or whatever. But I feel like for me, that's the best outlook I can have.
100%, dude.
You know, but because then the only actions that I will take are positive ones, like trying to move forward.
Totally, man. That's no, I definitely amen to that, dude. So you're in the Mets organization. Where are we at now, dude? Like, you've obviously had. I think I pulled up 2018, and you started all 2018 in the Sally League, just grinding on a bus pretty much the whole year. Dude, you had 3 games where you struck out double digits. So that's stuff. What is your stuff, dude? Give us I know it's awkward, but I want to hear it. Like, you're 6'9", 250. Like, what's your stuff?
So I throw. Well, last year I mostly threw just 4-seam fastball and slider. But I throw a 4-seam fastball, 2-seam fastball, changeup, and a slider. And last year my velo at the beginning of the year was only like 91, 94. But at the end of the year, I had gotten up to the last outing I had, I got up to 98.
Jeez.
I have, and I'm tall. So I have and I get a little bit of lift on my fastball, so I kind of have a unique angle, I guess, how I throw. And yeah, I guess that's my stuff.
Yeah, I saw some video. You got that high leg kick thing going on. You got some funk. It's weird. I wouldn't say it's weird as obviously, weird in baseball terms, like a positive thing. But,
it's a good thing.
But yeah, it's because you're 6'9". Obviously, the angle of the release point is going to vary pretty much every pitcher in the league, and it's not like you're way over the top, but you're on top of the ball. But you're you would say you're a 3/4 guy, right?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I'm not like I can't even think of somebody, but I'm not way over high 3/4 getting into maybe an Aroldis Chapman. Where he's super up there. But yeah, I just kind of let my arm come through fairly easily. I'm trying to work on my mechanics more to make it less violent, I guess, because I have 2 elbow surgeries down. But no,
that's not something to laugh about. I guess I apologize.
No, you can laugh about it. It's fine. I mean, the most recent one was just scar tissue, though. So I guess that one.
Sorry, man. I'm sitting here with a freaking sling on. I just had lat surgery, so that's cool.
Oof. Wait, lat?
Dude, I blew my lat out.
How?
Throwing a freaking banging curveball in warm-ups. I guess you could laugh about that one.
How?
Dude, it was stupid.
Did you just follow through?
Dude, throwing a baseball is stupid. Why do we do it? What are we putting ourselves through? Yeah, it was really weird. Fun. I literally coming out of the pen, big situation, and I was, dude, my bullpen, my warm up in the bullpen, was lights out. Come out there into the game mound. You get your so many pitches to throw and warm up.
Yep.
And I have my routine of 2 fastballs away, 1 arm side, and then I go to my banger. And I say banger, my curveball sucks, but I go to my curveball. And for some reason, I know we're on an audio podcast, but if you can picture my arm when it cocks back and I go to my scat pinch, as soon as I got to that power position of the 2 L's, it tore it to where it couldn't go anymore. And then as soon as I went overhead to pull down, I'm a high release guy. It blew everything. There was a stick of dynamite. It blew up, dude. I blacked out. I fell to the floor. It was crazy. But yeah, it was just from one pitch, man. So yeah, I don't know why we freaking throw a baseball for a living, but I don't know how we started. How did we start talking about that? Your elbow surgery? Your mechanics?
Yeah.
Yeah. So you're trying to be less violent? Is that what it is? What do you mean by violent?
I'm just trying to follow through more and get more behind the baseball, I guess.
Yeah, that's just an energy build up from the backside, probably.
Yeah, because I have big levers, and if you stop a big lever really quickly, it's
your decelerators, dude.
Fun.
Your decelerators have to be freaking jacked.
Mm-hmm.
Have to be.
Yeah.
We'll do this, dude. Like, if you're cool with it, is once this podcast airs, I told you I got you for March 8th.
Yep.
Once this airs, like, send me some footage of you throwing, dude, and I'll make a post about it or whatever, hype up the show, and
yeah, that sounds awesome.
I don't want to, like, it's funny because we talked about input earlier. I don't want to give you like a ton of input, but just pointing out some things and making a little hype video out of it too.
Sounds great.
Cool, man. So all right, so you finished? Did you finish 2018 like fully healthy? I saw in May you only had like 2 starts. Did you get hurt?
I had like a little bit some symptoms in my hand from the buildup of scar tissue.
What the heck?
Yeah, I don't know. I had surgery in 2016 to move my ulnar nerve, and then apparently a bunch of scar tissue accrued like a little bit above my elbow. So that had some kind of interaction with the nerve again. So they just went in, scooped it out, and now I'm all better.
It's interesting to me too, because like we always hear in baseball, like the terrible injuries, right? Like the DJ, the rotator cuff, like the labrum, like all these terrible, like lat, like all these devastating injuries, and how frustrating it is. I can't imagine like having these little tiny things pop up over and over again, dude. How do you like? Where's your, like? Give the audience, because for my viewers or for you, my audience is like a lot of like high school kids. A lot of guys seeking knowledge and information, little nuggets. What would you say for like some advice if a kid like continues to have these little tiny nagging injuries like you had? What would your advice be to them as far as like a mindset?
Well, kind of the way that I look at it is like when somebody says, or like when Dr. Allcheck in New York, who's our surgeon, is like, you need surgery. The way that I think about it is, okay, like this is just what I do. Like I'm Chris. I like playing baseball. I love playing baseball. It's what I want to do. And to play baseball, I need to go do this thing. Like, does that thing kind of suck? Yeah, that thing kind of sucks, like a lot. And I'm going to have to be like on a couch for a week and a half and not move that much. Then I'm going to have to do surgery rehab. But does that thing suck like even 1/1,000,000% enough as like not playing baseball to my highest ability? No, because I would get a knock on like all the wood, but like I just want to go out and play baseball. That's what I want to do.
It's that big picture mindset, man. It's like that. Yeah. And that's a huge point that I talk about a lot, man, is like, putting yourself through the grinder, but having that vision of what is the end goal, right? Like do you want to be the best possible pitcher that you can be? Then you're going to sit in the freaking ice tank for 3 minutes and then jump in the hot tank. Like there's certain things that you're going to do if you want to pay the price that it takes to be the best possible athlete or, whatever it is in life.
Yeah.
Love it, man. Big picture. That's huge. Process. Let's talk about your process, dude. Good segue. What's your process like from the moment you got drafted to even now? Like, what do we, you talked about a little bit of things that you're working on mechanically. You want to be a little bit more efficient, what are the things the Mets are saying in terms of like big picture goals? Where do they see you? What's your process like, man?
So process would probably be slowly transitioning towards like lowering my pitch count via increasing my strike percentage and also increasing like balls put in play, I would assume. I strike a lot of guys out. I also throw a lot of pitches. So I want to get past the 5th inning sometimes. That would be sick.
It's 2019, man. We don't do that anymore as starters.
Yeah. But I mean, at least for me personally, and I think that this would definitely be similar to what the Mets want. I just want to increase my strike throwing percentage and increase the amount of ground balls that are put in play off of me. I know that I can go out and be aggressive and strike guys out, and I think that I will have that skill set if I need it. But that's not exactly the best skill set to have if I want to give like the team that I'm playing for the best chance to win a baseball game.
Totally.
Because I'm not going to be able to go super far into games. So having the ability to pitch and get quick outs while still retaining the ability to, if I need to strike a guy out, to strike that guy out.
Yeah. Because you always need that.
Yeah. You're always gonna get into situations, no matter how good you are. You're going to get into bad situations where you're like, I need this guy to get out and nobody to move.
Yeah. Dude, you know what's interesting, man? And I don't mean to put you on the spot, and you don't even have to talk about this if you don't want to. But like the basis behind strikeouts, because it's funny, man, like being in organizations, maybe being in college is a little bit different because you are trying to win, but you know how minor league baseball is. It's, self-promoting yourself, but it's interesting because everyone tells you, hey, early contact, 3 pitches or less, get to the 7th, get a quality start, blah, 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 pitch count down. I'm not saying like blah, blah, blah isn't what you're saying. But that's what we're told. Like that's the packet that we really do get every spring training about the vision of the starting pitcher. But we all know at the end of the day, strikeouts and stuff plays at any level you're at. And not only does it play, but it freaking gets you promoted, dude. So, I mean, where do you stand with that? I know that's not a question, but like, where do you stand as far as how you approach guys, as a starter? Is it one of those things where you're in attack mode early, you get to 0-2, 1-2, those are your strikeout counts, and then as soon as like maybe 2-2 rolls around, you're pitching a contact? Or does your game plan vary, or are you trying to frickin' miss bats all together?
I think it's kind of dependent on the batter that you're facing. So let's say you get an average minor league lineup and you have like 3 or 4 guys that like, they can put like a hurt into a baseball. So those guys, you're not exactly throwing like a sinker middle or something like that to get like a rollover. Those guys I'm going to be more aggressive against. They might be guys that I'm pitching more for a strikeout, or at least for like, if they do make contact, to be bad contact, rather than like, he's probably going to hit a ground ball because he also might like hit it out of the park. But for the other guys, you can be one side, you could be more aggressive if you think that you can just overpower them with your stuff, because 3 pitches in an at bat, if you think you could strike a guy out on 3 pitches, that's not that much. But if you think that they're just if you think that you can get a guy to roll over on a pitch 1 or 2 pitches in, and you think that you could do that consistently, then that's the guy that you target. And you're like, I'm going to lower at least for me, like I'm going to try and lower my pitch count via this guy, this guy, this guy, and this guy.
Yeah, like 7, 8, 9, like a goal going into every one of your outings. Like 7, 8, 9 doesn't see more than 20 pitches combined or whatever.
Yeah,
whatever.
Yeah, and then like if I'm facing Vladimir Guerrero Jr., I'm not going to be like, okay, like sinker, middle, middle. Yeah, he's probably going to hit a home run because he's like good at baseball,
just decently good. Yeah, it's just interesting, man, and it's tough because, well, needless to say, like you are in a good situation, right? Because I had the other problem where I had good stuff, like you want to talk like data analytics and Rapsodo, like stuff wise, hard throwing, below all that kind of stuff, but I just never. I guess I got brainwashed into the 3 pitches or less, like quick outs, blah blah blah. And I always later in my career when it was like, okay, I gotta be a guy again, right? Like I gotta make some freaking notice. I gotta get some attention. And the way you do that is by making guys look silly, missing bats, blowing up a radar gun, or having 3,000 RPMs on your heater, like nowadays. And I could never get back to that, where I was still throwing like mid 90s. And I could just never get back to that mindset of I'm not letting you hit the ball, And so for you, man, good problem to have, by the way. So what Actually, that's a good segue to data analytics. Do you know your data analytics? Do you care about that? I mean, you're a Stanford guy, not saying you're a nerd or anything, but are you into that stuff?
I'm definitely into it. I haven't looked into my data analytics in a little bit, partially because I'm mixing the mechanics a little bit, and that might change the outcome. Throwing my first bullpen in like a weekish, so
let's go.
Maybe we'll check the Rapsodo of that because we have those cameras in now. But
everyone does.
Yeah, it's awesome. Yeah, I definitely data analytics is really interesting to me, and I actually like data analytics in general is really interesting to me, but I haven't really applied it to baseball, and like I haven't dove in as much as I probably should have.
That surprises me, man.
Mm-hmm.
It's just because like I'm a nerd, and I'll be the first one to say it. Like especially with baseball, dude, because you know like numbers and freaking all that stuff, dude. It's just so intriguing to me, and I just I don't want to use the word like obsessed with it, but like it's just very interesting. And again, going back to that whole perfectionism thing, like I hate to look at my reports, you know, because you're sitting there like, why can't I just do this or why can't I do that? And then you're on the mound and you're trying to compete and you're thinking about your 2100 RPM freaking fastball it being in the dead zone, and you're just like, crap, can't throw that. But so you said you were throwing. We'll segue now. You said you're throwing your first bullpen in a week and a half. When does camp officially start on the minor league side?
I believe camp starts on the 27th. Report date's the 26th. Everybody's getting in the 26th, 27th. They're doing like physicals and all that stuff.
Of February?
Yeah.
Well, duh, February. That was a stupid question, dude. It's early now. No.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's like pitchers and catchers minor league side.
I thought it was always March. I thought minor leaguers was always March. You're not talking early camp, are you?
I don't. Wait, no, that might be step camp. I don't know. We already have like 50 guys in.
Yeah.
We have like a decent amount of guys. We showed up earlier than last year.
I feel like that's the thing.
I like being early.
I was a big early guy, dude. I couldn't wait. I just wanted to go. Just get around the guys. I mean, you know how it is, that camaraderie. You just get around the guys, and it's like it's go time. You know,
yeah, exactly.
It's different. Are you grinding in a hotel, or you got your apartment, or what's the setup like in St. Lucie?
I'm at a hotel, Holiday Inn.
Hey,
We're sharing it with like 1,000 Mets fans. So I have to somehow convince people for like the next 2 months that I'm 6'9" and I just don't play baseball.
I'm just here to watch Tim Tebow.
Yeah, exactly.
It's funny. We went this whole show, and I just realized that I should probably ask you if you met Tebow.
Yeah, I've met him a couple of times. We had an event that I volunteered at. I was kind of somebody volunteeed me.
Love those.
But I actually did love this one. It was super cool. It was a Special Olympics, practice thing, and they had some of the big league guys, some of the minor league guys, and Tebow was there, obviously. And I've never seen as much adoration for like a single person as like that group, like the Special Olympics group has for Tim Tebow. It was awesome.
That's amazing.
And also, he's awesome. Like he's just he looks like he's a super nice guy. He's actually a super nice guy.
Yeah. No, I've heard that too. And I love hearing that, man. And I'm glad that you said that too for my audience, because you know how it is, man. Like, guy gets some stuff, we'll just say. We'll leave it at that.
Yeah.
And
I mean, I can kind of see, because he's like, you know, when you see somebody and you're like, there's no way he's that nice. Like, that has to be like Tim Tebow's like actually that nice. It's like kind of.
It's not a front.
Crazy. No, it's not. And I was in the camp of like, there's no way he's that nice. And now I'm a complete convert.
Oh man, I love it. That does pump me up, dude. Because I'm a Tebow guy. I'm a Tebow fan. I read his books. That Shaken book was next level. I'll link that in the show notes for the guys listening. Want to check that out. But happy to hear that. Yeah. So, dude, I want to dive in because you made a post. All right, you made a post. Mental health. Let's dive in, dude, because I know you're passionate about this, and I'm glad. I'm really,
100%.
I really do want to bring this up and spend as much time as you want on this subject because you're right, dude. It's not talked about enough, and it's a very prevalent thing today. So, what makes you so passionate, and why do you want to spread the word?
So a lot of people. Well, I kind of like reached out to a lot of people for this cause, and a lot of people have asked me like, "Is this personal to you?" All this kind of stuff. Honestly, like I haven't really had anything in my past that I've like struggled a ton with. I guess most of it would be related to baseball. Kind of like struggling in college, but that's not on the level of what I'm trying to focus on with my mental health awareness stuff.
Yeah.
My thoughts on the issue were directly via social media and being like, hey, this is this is a thing. I'm trying to, like, if you are feeling bad, if you suffer from depression, if you're just having a bad day, if you're a little bit anxious, like, you can go and talk to somebody, and that's okay. Like, it's not just okay, it's awesome. You should just go talk to people and like open up to people in general. You know what I mean?
Totally, dude. Because I mean, as human beings, like I think we're all very like prideful, and we look at situations sometimes, and we look at like a thing like mental health, and then we start identifying with the fact or the notion that something's wrong with us.
Yeah,
and we don't want to identify as that, so then we get put into a denial state. Right. And I think just the awareness of it, and I think it's about making it like publicly and socially acceptable.
Yeah.
And I think that takes like what you're doing, like with people in your platform or even like our platform of just saying like, dude, I'm a professional baseball player and like I talk to people about this all the time. Not like publicly too.
Yeah.
So, it's huge, man.
Yeah, I mean, I think that, at least personally, I think that, like, reversing the idea that talking to somebody makes you weak. In my mind, if you have a problem and you talk to somebody and that makes you better, that makes you way stronger of a person, because that means that you identified that you had something that you wanted to make better. You identified that, you found a solution, and now you're in a better spot. That just means that you were smart, proactive, and you got on that stuff. So if you're feeling weird, talk to someone. Totally.
And social media gives us a great outlet to do that. And, and it's great, man. I mean, I know you kind of have I think you have a bigger audience than I do, but just the platform that it allows us to really, have someone just DM you, and like all of a sudden you respond to a certain person's DM and like their day is made, and you kind of sit back and go, what, like that? It's just me. Like I'm not.
I'm just a guy.
I'm just like, I'm a human being. I take the same amount of breaths as you or like any other person in the world. I'm on the same earth, and you do this one little task or one little thing, and all of a sudden a person's perception on everything around them is greatly influenced by an act or an action that you've done. And I mean, that's the basis of life, right? Like making a difference, right? They're like, there's no other better feeling. Me personally, I can't speak on everyone, but there's like no better feeling. Like you could throw a 100-mile-an-hour fastball by somebody to finish a perfect game, but that second where you you go to a special needs or a special Olympics thing, and you like see all these smiles, and you make someone's night or week or month, that feeling, I mean, I'm sure you can attest to that, is beyond compare.
Yeah, it's something special. And I think another thing, or another reason that the mental health kind of messaging appealed to me specifically was you talked about how social media can be a positive and how some people like me and you, we go on social media and we talk about positivity. And if you're having problems, you should go talk to people and it's okay. And I feel like we try to exude like acceptance. But I feel like on the flip side, when a lot of people go on social media, they go on social media and they just see like highlights of the past month of all the coolest stuff that all of their friends have done. Because generally, like most people in social media, I feel like they're just like, okay, this is the coolest stuff I did in the past month. And then nothing else. You just see this just highlight reel after highlight reel after highlight reel. And if you get caught up thinking, oh, wow, those are other people's lives, like, then how does that compare? When in reality, if you compare your highlight reel against other people's highlight reels, they're the same. And also, like, why do you want to compare? Like, your life is your life, and you should live your life the way that you want to live it, and other people should live their lives the way they want to live it.
Totally, dude. And it's hard to do. I mean, it is, man. Like, you know, because we can sit here, we can talk about it all day, and we can say all the right words and, you know, whatever, and appeal to the audience. But at the end of the day, like, how do we do it? You know, like, how do we go about living our life as in I can control everything that I do and you go on social media, like, because I do the same thing, dude. Like, you know, I'm a human being. I go on social media and I see other people and like, even especially during my time right now, not to get like super personal, but like I'm grinding through this injury. Like I'm, you know, going into my 10th professional season, like obviously the window's closing and I go on social media and I see a freaking video of you throwing 100 miles an hour. I get like envious, dude. I get jealous and I fall into that depression state briefly, you know, and like, that's a real life thing. Yeah, and I'm sure it's prevalent with high school kids. And like, say you're a high school kid, knowing that you know all your boys are going D1 or maybe even drafted, and you're grinding with a 75-mile-an-hour heater. Yeah, it's tough. It's tough.
Yeah, and then another thing with that I've seen, at least comparing from when I like came up. I didn't come up that long ago. Like I wasn't in high school really that long ago.
Right,
but at least when I came up versus now, it's like when I was in high school, I compared myself to like the best pitchers in my county. So when I was the best pitcher in my county, I was like, I made it.
Yeah.
This is sick. I'm awesome. But I feel because I was in high school and I had like, I was a jerk. But I feel like a lot of kids now are like, okay, cool. Like I'm the best pitcher at my high school. And then they go on Instagram and they see some 15-year-old kid that throws 97 with like a disgusting slider. And they're like, I'm terrible at baseball.
Yeah.
You know, when in reality, they're really good.
Yeah.
Like they are really good. Like if you're the best pitcher at your high school, you're pretty good at baseball. If you're the best pitcher in your county, you're really good at baseball.
Yeah.
But if you go on Instagram, you're going to see literally the best players in the world at baseball.
Yep.
Scroll after scroll after scroll after scroll. And then you're going to say, oh, I suck at baseball. When in reality, you're really good.
Yeah. That's so true too, man. And I think and that could be a detriment to like a career. Like, you know, say there's like a 14-year-old kid that's semi-decent at baseball, but, you know, in his path of life, he could have turned out to be a big leaguer if he just like put in the work and put in the time and obviously like maturity and puberty and all that other stuff. But say he was destined to do that and then went on social media and just saw that, you know, he just wasn't he wasn't able to compare himself in the skill and the talent levels. So he gave it up, you know, and then we never got that kid at his greatest because of what he saw on social media.
Yeah. I mean, social media is kind of a double-edged sword.
Yeah.
You can have the positivity and you can have the negativity. So I guess what I'm trying to do is set my role as like I'm just a guy and I'm inclusive. I feel like that's a good thing.
Yeah.
And I feel like you do the same thing, which is awesome.
Hey, thanks, man. I mean, you try. I actually, I think, like, I forget how long ago it actually was, but I instilled this, like, pretty strict rule for myself where I go on Instagram one, I turn, like, post notifications on for, like, all my boys, you know, and, like, the people that I do want to see doing well or what they're doing and keep up with them. But, you know, I only go on there to post. Like, I won't, if I scroll one thing, like, I just throw it down and I'm done. You know, like,
Yeah.
there's some dangers on there, man.
Yeah. I mean, it's definitely a huge time suck. I try to respond to all my comments. I think that's a
tough one.
That's something that I'm good at.
Yeah.
But I don't know. I usually try to respond to the comments because the way that, at least for me, I'm like, if they are comments, I don't know. It's
I know what you mean. I'm like that with DMs, dude. I'm OCD with my DMs. If I see one unread, like, I got to get to it. So, dude, speaking of Instagram and speaking of social media, I don't want to take too much of your night because I know it's like 11 something over there. No, it's is it 9?
Not too late. Yeah, 9ish.
But where can my audience find you on the internet, man? On the Google machine.
On the Google machine, you can find me at CM Viall. That is CMVIALL on Instagram and Twitter. I never tweet, so
I just followed you, by the way. Yeah, you got a new follower, man.
Awesome.
Now you got to step your tweet game up. Cool, man.
Yeah.
Well, dude, thank you so much, man. I apologize if we went a little bit longer than expected, but thank you so much for coming on the show, dude.
Of course.
Thank you for having me. Yeah, man. I'm looking forward to doing some more collabs with you. You know, I know we talked about some IG Live opportunities and whatnot. I do want to say this on the air, but I have like a YouTube podcast type thing where it's more of like, it's called Inside the Baseball Mind, and it just allows us to put a visual to like the audio basically. So, you know, I like to have guys come on, we talk pitch grips, we talk, you know, stuff that you can actually put into a visual for the audience.
I gotcha.
It's like 10-minute segments, you know, it's talking on a fastball or whatever it is, you know, but if you're interested in that, man, definitely in the near future, we'll hammer that home as well.
Yeah, that'd be great.
Cool, man.
Love to do that.
Yeah, dude. Well, thank you again, man. I'll sign you off the air, but appreciate your time, dude, and best of luck for you moving forward in 2019.
All right. Thank you so much. Best of luck to you as well.
Appreciate it, dude. Okay, guys, that'll do another episode of the Robby Row Show. Thank you guys for tuning in. If you enjoyed the episode, would love a review from you guys on whichever platform you listening to it on. If you guys want to go the extra mile, I will encourage you to spread the awareness of the show amongst your audience. So the whole idea behind the show in general is to reach as many individuals as I possibly can. So that's you guys can play a part in that as well. So I would highly appreciate it if you did that. But if not, I'm still gonna love you, and I'm still gonna do my part in producing episodes like this one. Love you guys. Enjoy the rest of your day, and we shall talk soon. God bless. See you guys.